We're standing in Gorse Wood. This is the National Trust property, Packwood House. The weather's quite cold today, it's probably 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. We've got a little bit of light snow, even though it's April. But the saying is, don't cast a clout till May's out. So although it's quite cold on a day like today, it's still quite nice to be outside. I really enjoy working in woodlands, whatever the weather.
As a National Trust Countryside Ranger, Oliver's job involves the sustainable management of Trust woodlands. Today he's checking on the progress of a young hazel coppice.
So this is one of our access doors into the coppice itself. It's very important these stay closed to keep the deer out, to prevent damage happening to the coppice. You can see here we've got some hazel growing quite nicely now. You can see the buds, they're almost going to break into leaf. This cold weather we've had is probably going to set the growth back a couple of weeks, I should think. This hazel's been in about 2 years now, and the guard is on it to stop the deer and also rabbits from nibbling the bottom. So if we take the guard off, just have a look underneath. So looking at the base here, we can see the roots have established quite well on this hazel. We'll probably get a pea stick or a stake out of this about 4 to 5 years' time. That's when we'll come back again, we'll coppice it at the base, harvest the material, and then the whole process starts again. You get this lovely regrowth, and most deciduous trees will respond to this. If you cut them down at the base, they just keep growing again. You do the same and again, and it's an ongoing cycle. I quite like the variety of things I do in my job. Sometimes we'll be out laying a hedge somewhere on some field, or we'll be coppicing in the woodland, leading guided walks and speaking with visitors. It's quite biting actually, the wind here today. We've got you can still see snow flurries everywhere. I might have lost one here, possibly. Actually no, I think it is alive. I think it's just the top that's stunted or died a bit. So it could be a virus, it could be genetic maybe. It's just one of them. you can't win them all.
Gorse Wood is working woodland, which the National Trust have opened to visitors. The wood plays an important part in supplying raw materials for the Packwood estate. It's also home to wildlife.
So looking across here in Gorse Wood, you can see this circle of brash. It's there to keep the muntjac and the roe deer out of the coppice when things are coppiced or you've got very young trees and the leaves are quite lush. Deer like to nibble them, and that can cause a lot of damage. And this is 2 years old now, so it's beginning to flatten a bit. This sort of material could possibly last 3 or 4 years before it breaks apart. At that point, it doesn't matter if the deer get back into the coppice then, because all the hazel trees should be a big enough height where the deer shouldn't cause too much damage. We've got some coral spot fungi, which is growing on the dead wood itself. This is good for bacteria and fungi which help to break down wood as well. So you can see this deer brushing, it's going to provide a habitat itself as it gradually breaks down and breaks apart. Wood lice, earwigs probably, that will be living underneath it. Shrews and voles, using it as cover to move up and down. They may even possibly live underneath it.
The surrounding brash is very effective in protecting the young coppice from deer, but smaller animals aren't so easily deterred.
I can see we've got some rabbit damage here. So we've got this ash stall was coppiced. And you can see here the regrowth. You can see where the rabbits have nibbled the tops, and they've nibbled the bark too. I'm pretty sure it's rabbits because we've got droppings here as well. So they're probably sitting up here using it as a kind of a lookout post. We can tolerate this though, because it's a little bit of damage. The bulk of the trees in here, the hazel that we want for materials, are protected from the rabbits. And the rabbits, they're small enough to squeeze under the deer brushing. I find my job really satisfying because I just like being outside, whatever the weather. It's peaceful, got all the birds singing, you know, the wind in the trees and the grass. It's a real nice feel. There's a nice aura working out here.